We did a story today based on a little exercise you did with a fellow from Brothel Busters, where you go along to the very small time, often illegal brothels that operate the suburbs, often under the guise of massage parlours, and you go in there and you find that you can get sex services for $50 or $100. Now, it's one of those, we talked about doing it because you think, do you want to talk about this? It's so seedy. That's the problem though, isn't it? Because it is massive. There are people being exploited in very large numbers, and a lot of people don't want to know about it.
That's right, and I didn't really want to know about it either, to be honest, when we set off to do it. So I joined Chris Siege, who runs Brothel Busters, and I met him in Chatswood on a weekday morning. A lot of shoppers walking past. It was about 10:30, 11, and he pointed out 5 or 6 establishments. And what they do is offer from outside just massage services and health services. So you can go in there and get a full body massage for $50 or $60. So I went into some of these places, and I was just wearing pretty nondescript clothing. And even though I sort of do stand out because I'm 6'4" and bald, I went in there trying to look as normal as possible. And I'd asked the woman behind the counter, look, what sort of services do you have? Do you supply a happy ending? And it just took me aback because most of the time they didn't even blink. They'd say, yes, that's another $50 or $60 or $100. What other extra services are you interested in? So they offer a full range, and quite often some of these places, there are, the health issues. They've got girls working there illegally. Many of them have been brought out in bondage, so they have to work 5 or 6 days a week to pay back their loan for coming to Australia to their master, and then they just survive. But the health concerns, the risk to the community, they're enormous.
It's astonishing that it's still going on. You can go out there and you can find it. Councils ought to be policing this. The government ought to be policing it. But you know what really makes me sick? And maybe we ought to be talking about it a bit more. The people who go to these places, they must be going in very large numbers, the men that patronise these places, who are paying $50 or $100 and they know they are exploiting someone whose life is pretty bad, and they are being sex slaves in many cases.
But the business is there because there's a need for it and there's a consumer demand for it. And what they need to do is make sure that these places are not harbouring illegal immigrants, are not harbouring women who are being subjugated and turned into sex slaves. I don't have a problem with prostitution if it's all done above board. There's a need for it. People need to go there for whatever reason. That's fine. But it needs to be registered. You're dealing with people's lives here.
Yep, exactly. And
on both sides of the counter.
And we ought to be making the point that the people going along there who go to these illegal places, they are perpetuating the misery of the people who are working there. They're exploiting them, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves.